it's bright up here. Welcome to the second half of the Mommy Monologues. Actually, one of the things that was so wonderful about being asked to introduce or MC tonight was that I had missed the deadline for my monologue. Several people had petitioned me and or said that we as a group should submit a monologue, and I said, yeah. And I really seriously thought about it for the, 2.5 months, between the time they announced it and the time it was due. And then they extended the deadline for another week, and I still didn't write it. So it was very nice of them to ask me to introduce, and then as part of my introducing, I got to write a monologue on my own 2 months late. So here it is. My name is Beth Clement, and my monologue is titled Co-Mommies in Utah. When my partner Kelly and I began not dating several years ago, part of what influenced that extremely fleeting choice to just be friends was that she had 4 grown kids, and my gayyenta.com profile said that I wanted kids. We not dated for about a month and then refused to admit that we were dating for another month to 6 weeks. Now we live together in a little craftsman bungalow in Sugar House, and I'm 8 months pregnant with my first child, her 5th, and her 19 to 27-year-old kids and 3-year-old grandson move in and out of our lives and in and out of our house as their needs dictate. As a result, I got my first real experience parenting as a step-parent, not something I had really expected. After all, I've been gay for over 20 years, and lesbians, we have our kids notoriously late. Among other things, it's downright expensive to inseminate month after month, and some of us also hold out for frivolous things like health insurance and job security. As the sex columnist Dan Savage said, it's hard to fall down drunk and find yourself in an adoption hearing or in the stirrups of a fertility clinic. So we gays have to think the whole parenting thing through, and that always takes quite a bit of time. But of course, lots of lesbians come to their sexuality late, which is what my partner did. She had her 4 kids early, got married, stayed married for 15 years, got divorced, and a year or so after the divorce decided that being a lesbian was a better adjustment for her. It's worked out really well for us. Step-parenting is difficult, but it's a lot of fun. And as it turns out, step-parenting adolescence bears an eerie resemblance to being a college professor. The age group is the same, and both the fun bits and the annoying bits tend to be quite similar. I began to realize that the kids who turned their papers in late, or worse yet from my perspective, turned them in on time but wrote them in an hour, were acting out the same developmental stage as the kids I'd lived with, who said they would clean the bathroom but never did. Certainly my frustration felt very similar. But Kelly's kids are also sarcastic, funny, smart, interesting, like the best of my students. They are certainly worth my parenting time and attention. Perhaps the most interesting part of parenting with Kelly has been the different assumptions and experiences that we bring to the process. Kelly had her kids as a heterosexual married to a man. She expects a certain level of respect. And she certainly has a very low tolerance for the raft of shit that is being a gay parent in Utah these days. Our hypnobirthing instructor enraged her by ignoring us during all of the 4 3-hour classes we had. And she is appalled by all the legal documents that we have paid for to make sure that she can make medical decisions for me and the baby. Those rather minor inconveniences don't even begin to touch on the outrage she feels when we talk about how we're going to swing an adoption for her for this baby. The current plan is for me to take a sabbatical and for her to either quit her job or take a leave of absence and move all of us to either New York or California where these adoptions are legal. Utah really hasn't left us with a lot of other choices in this regard. If we don't take on this disruptive and expensive process, this baby will have no legal relationship to Kelly. As a recent Utah Supreme Court case showed, the state will not respect Kelly's relationship to the child if we break up or if I die. And of course, if Kelly dies, our child will not be eligible for her Social Security. The money that Kelly has paid into the system over the years will revert back into that system to support other people's families and not ours. These things outrage me too, but when you've lived your whole life as a gay person, you get used to this kind of treatment. You sort of build up a tolerance for it. Your legal, cultural, and social marginality become the norm for you, and you come to expect that things will be hard, that you and your family will be targeted by hostile outsiders who are happy to do their very legal best to define your family out of existence. Now, when I say that I'm a step-parent and a step-grandparent, and one who actually on occasion lives with the stepchildren and step-grandson, friends, colleagues, and periodically my students will usually respond with, wow, and look kind of baffled and concerned at the same time for me. But that is absolutely nothing compared to what Kelly gets when she tells people we're having a baby. You just finished that, her friends protest. You're going to sign up for another 20 years? They think she's completely insane, and they are happy to tell her that. Here's the thing, though. Both of us have had several relationships, which were on the whole positive. But when we met, it was pretty clear that this was the relationship both of us had been waiting for. We are quite simply each other's best beloveds. Best beloveds finally found at 36 and 45 respectively tend to come with other people. Kids, parents, friends, annoying but essential colleagues. And you cannot ignore these people or reject them or hope that they will go away. Being open to family and defining family as broadly as possible is the only way to go. As Kelly says, quote, I came with kids, and so did Beth, it's just that hers aren't here yet. They're here now. I didn't expect to be engaging in a death struggle with an adolescent over cleaning the bathroom for at least another 13 or 14 years. And Kelly wasn't expecting to be changing her new baby's diapers at the same time that she also changed the diapers of her second grandchild, who's due 6 weeks after I am. But these are the choices that we've made, and we really can't see how we could have made better ones.
My name is Melody Murdoch, and this is titled Tonight's Drive Home. I wrote it on January 11th, 2007. I can't speed. Slow down. Watch out for the black ice. It's not worth endangering your life. She's still awake. A few more minutes won't matter. What's my 2-year-old doing awake at 11 p.m. anyway? It's my fault. I thought I left her binky in the bag. Why can't she sleep without her binky? Why haven't I weaned her from one by now? I used to see toddlers her age with pacifiers in their mouths and think, why does the kid that old still have a binky? What's that mom thinking? Now I'm that mom. Shoot, I took the wrong exit. It's too late to be on these winter roads. But that really was an incredible meeting, wasn't it? I'm so lucky to meet such amazing people through my work. That's important, right? Important enough to leave my daughter again? Stop with the guilt trip already. You made the decision to go tonight, and it's fine. She's fine. Remember, you becoming a better person will help you become a better mom, too. Finally, I'm here. Oh, it really is cold. The weather guy said it would be below 0. Hurry, the freezing air is stinging my ankles. It was definitely a man who invented nylons. It had to be. What's their purpose in this kind of weather anyway? They don't insulate. I think they attract coldness. Hi, sweetie, it's Mommy. I'm here. Of course I came back. Let's go home to your bed, sweetie. Wrap her up tight. Don't slip on the ice. Why are these car seat buckles so impossible to fit over a winter coat? Hurry. Her little legs are getting cold. She can't get sick again. Her asthma is still inflamed from her last cold. Did I do her nebulizer the 3rd time today? Did I remember her other medications? How do her lungs sound? Yes, sweetie, we're going home. You can see Daddy tomorrow. No, Mommy's not sick anymore. I'm all better. Thank goodness. I thought yesterday would never end. How do moms handle being sick with more than one child? I was barely able to get out of bed to feed her. She did so well playing on her own, except for the makeup incident. Where did she find that nail polish anyway? Oh, crap. I've got to email my client again tomorrow. Tell him, once again, I've been sick and need a few more days to finish the draft. He has kids. He should understand. No, who am I kidding? It's his wife who would understand. We're here, baby. Let's go inside. Brr, we really need to shovel our driveway. My feet are soaking wet already. Again, with the nylons. Just get her in bed. Just get her in bed. Rockabye? Of course. I'll rockabye. What song do you want Mama to sing? Over the river and through the woods to Grandma's house we go. Look at her angel face. She's perfect. Why on earth did God trust me with this little person? Am I good enough for her? Can I give her all she needs? Am I doing okay? My tear just touched her cheek. Oh, please don't wake up. I love you. I know I'm not perfect. But if you only knew that everything I do is for you. Thank you for being so good tonight. Tomorrow we'll both sleep in and then I'll take you to see the bunnies.
I'm Alexis Vague. This is Gay Adoption by Aaron Sorensen. My partner Paul and I never wanted kids. Until recently, that is. We sat down for the night, like we usually do. Paul had something weighing on his mind, and with a nervous look in his eyes, he told me that he wanted to have a child. Awkward silence. I didn't know what to say. When we first got together, we had the family talk. I was, of course, against it. Paul was interested even then, but he didn't want to push it when things were so new. I had forgotten about the whole thing. I mean, things were going so well between us. Fast forward 3 years, and I'm sitting on the couch wondering how the hell I didn't see this coming. Paul must have seen the shell-shocked look in my eyes because he started talking fast before I could collect myself to say, well, anything. Sitting there on the couch across from the man that I love, who I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, I saw his mouth moving, but I couldn't hear a word that he said. It didn't matter. I could feel my love for him and know that he felt it too. I remember thinking, there are a lot worse places to raise a kid. All you really need is love, right? And a spare bedroom. I guess my eyes must have glazed over during all this because I started to hear Paul again. He was upset, saying something about how this is really important and I could at least hear his side. Paul is rational like that. He won't just blow up at anything. That's one of the things I love about him. I knew that I hadn't thought it through enough and that it was a big deal, but in my heart, I knew that we could make it work. I started to nod with a slow smile forming on my face. Paul knows me well enough to know this means yes. I couldn't say anything and I had a pit in my stomach, which could have been the quiche we had for dinner. He was hugging me close and I didn't have to say anything. We were happy. Paul had already thought about the entire process. He told me that adoption was the best way to go for us. We could go and pick. I kept thinking about our commitment ceremony when we registered at Pottery Barn and Walmart. Would it be like that? Walking up and down the rows of products, scanning the ones that we liked? Somehow I knew it would be more complicated. I just had no idea how much. I could feel their eyes on us as we walked confidently into the adoption agency. We had everything figured out. We were going to renovate our spare bedroom, and we already talked about Paul taking a break from work to be a stay-at-home daddy. I was so naive. We were only just starting the process. We wanted to go in person to apply for the adoption. It just didn't seem like something that you would fax. They didn't even look at the application, which took us a week to fill out before they denied us. All I could think of was Paul. He wanted this so badly. They said something about a ban or legally married. I couldn't listen. I was confused, trying to comfort Paul, and I was pissed. I wanted to break something or scream. I just didn't know what to do. We drove home. He couldn't stop crying. Love was supposed to be enough. I could pour my heart out and it didn't matter. Because I'm gay and in fucking Utah, that means I can't legally adopt with my partner, who is a good man and would make one hell of a dad. I didn't even want kids, but now I do, and I can't have them. The man that I love couldn't stop crying. And there was nothing that I could do about it. I couldn't take it. I wanted something to happen. I don't know what. It was all that I could do to keep driving. My heart was pounding, and I think I was crying. I just kept thinking, why is our love not enough?
My name is Betsy West, and I'm reading Call Me Mom by Catherine Atwood. Mama, mommy, mother, mom, mater, many more. What to call the one who suckles, soaps, scrubs, salves, solves, soothes, sobs. On and on it goes, and where it stops, nobody knows. Once upon a time, you didn't blame me for your problems. In fact, you wanted to live next door to me forever and ever. Later, the further away you were, the better. For you, anyway. We ran away when you were 2, your sister, you and I, across the country to another world of sprouts on burgers and surfer dudes. No money, but we were free. Not really, as it turned out. My fear followed us everywhere. You felt it and thought there was a wolf running after us, out to get us, a roaring mouth with big fangs. I said, everything's okay. But you didn't believe me. You saw the lies within my eyes. The more I tried to hide that, the more your distrust grew. Across the ocean with another man. He'll fix it. Call him Daddy. You didn't know if he was the real Daddy. Was he the wolf? Betrayed again by love, your anger grew, and you drank and smoked to mask your pain. You danced, however, like an angel. I left him too, and we started anew. By this time you were adept at point and at covering up the truth. You had a good teacher. I came home from the movies one day, and you greeted me at the door wrapped in a blanket and said, I've just swallowed a bottle of Tylenol. Your stomach pumped, you smiled through it all. My heart broke, and you scoffed at me. You were alive, but I'd lost you. You said you wanted to return to the country of your birth. We did that. Still lost, even with family there, even on Cape Cod. Those lighthouses did not help us to see more clearly. The foghorns echoed our silent cries. We were flailing and couldn't find the life vests. You ran away as soon as you were able, following your sister to the lair of the wolf. He had another family, but he said he loved you both so much, missed you so much. To prove it, he raped your sister repeatedly. Through it all, I was the one to blame, the mother. If she hadn't left, I wouldn't have to do this, he said to her as he stripped her of everything. You ran away from there too. Who could blame you? Your friends, others on the edge of life, helped you to survive. When you were found, he put you in a psych ward. She's crazy, like her mother. Best place for her. Trapped again. So you took a bus to New York City. I met you there, and we tried to build something. The walls were insurmountable. It was rough. You reached out to men as you had seen me do so much through the years. You got pregnant. You were 16. I went with you when you had an abortion. People screamed at you on the way in. Murderer. You looked so scared. Afterward, on the way out, in the elevator, you asked me, where do they put it afterwards? The fetus. I didn't know. I nursed you back to health. I was living with an auctioneer, an expert in antiques, a cold and cruel man whom I was convinced was misunderstood. You hated him and went away again, to New Orleans, and it's a wonder you survived the hurricane of hurt. Your travels took you to Key West, then to Taos, where you met your love, the steady rock that you needed so much. You didn't believe in family, didn't call me mom or mother, just Catherine. Coldly, calmly, Catherine. You never knew how much I wept. I traveled the country acting, always acting. You changed your name. You never liked the name I gave you, and in a gesture that speaks of the circle of life, your last name is now Wolf. One day you said, I'm pregnant. I want to be a mom. My heart leapt with hope. Maybe this would reunite us somehow. The babe is born, a perfect Pisces. You called me and said, I'm falling in love with my baby. Now your daughter is almost 5. She is the joy of my life, and so are you. Do you know that? Please, call me Mom.
I'm Tina Hatch, reading Don't Forget by Christine Hill. Do you have kids? It seems like such a simple question, but for me, it's complicated. Do I tell the truth and bring up issues I don't feel like talking about? Do I lie and feel sick all day? My child died almost 3 years ago. So I'm still a mom, but can't do any of the mom things. I don't go to playgroups, I don't go to PTA meetings, I don't go to soccer games or swim meets. My to-do list as a mom is not typical. I go to the cemetery. I keep his memory alive. I cry because of the aching hole in my heart and my life. And I try to figure out how to answer simple questions that have a difficult answer. I'm a mom. I'm Mikey's mom. I was pregnant, gave birth to a beautiful child and watched him grow, learn to walk and talk. Then he left us suddenly. We had no warning. He was just conscious and loving 1 minute and unconscious the next, and he never woke up. I have pictures of him everywhere, truly, in every room of the house, on the fridge, on my desk, as my screensaver. I still have the nurturing heart of a mom, but no one to nurture. I have the spoiling inclinations of a mom, and no one to spoil. So what do you say to me when I tell you that I am a mom, when my child is gone? People say, I'm sorry. Nothing wrong with saying that. Then I change the subject because the atmosphere is suddenly uncomfortable. I keep my happy face on and don't cry in public anymore. I make others feel comfortable for asking my dreaded question rather than making them feel guilty for pouring salt in my wounds. That's what usually happens. It's not what I would want, though. Of course, I don't think what I want is possible. I want to talk about him when I feel like it, and I want to try to put this pain aside when I don't feel strong enough to face it. No one could ever guess which approach to take, so what's the use of trying to explain? My life is full of paradoxes like that. I want to talk about Mikey all the time because I don't want to forget the beauty of his adorable red hair, the mischievous smile he had just before starting to laugh, his open and trusting gaze, and the time he threw a peanut butter sandwich and it stuck to the wall. He was everyone's friend and afraid of nothing. Even when he was sick, he would do somersaults in his crib and was best known for saying hi multiple times and with enthusiasm to every person he saw. I don't want to talk about Mikey because if I start crying, I may not be able to stop. If I start talking and telling stories of my boy, I may not realize how long I've been talking. Then suddenly, the other person in the conversation seems tired of the subject, and I feel ridiculous and angry and sad. So I only talk to safe people and in safe situations. I control the conversations. I change the subject when it suits me. I pay a therapist to listen to me so that sometimes I don't have to control anything and I can cry without reserve and tell stories till my time is up. Perhaps it's easier to tell people what not to say. For instance, the person who gushes, "How can you stand it? How do you go on? I don't know how you can survive this." My ideal response would be, "Gosh, thanks for that. If I wasn't feeling suicidal before talking to you, I sure do now." But I didn't have the courage to say that. I just walked away. Or this one, "You'll have other kids." Well, actually, I might not. Not everyone knows that I've been trying to get pregnant for 2 years, and I am past my prime. So I might be lucky enough to have another child, and I might not. Besides, no matter how many children I had, they wouldn't replace the one I lost. Each new child would bring joy, but not erase the pain of Mikey's absence. The most painful reaction, though, is from those who also miss him, but who pretend that he never existed. They talk about their kids or grandkids with zeal and ignore my own son. They revel in how many friends are pregnant and ignore the miscarriage I had last month. Silence is the most painful response. Refusing to acknowledge my pain is the cruelest reaction. People tell me they don't know what to say when I am terribly sad or depressed. That's okay. Just saying that you don't know what to say is actually saying something, and it helps. Asking me what my son was like is an amazing question. It takes courage to ask and courage to answer. I desperately want to talk sometimes, and this is an open door. Just holding me and caring is healing. But the most profound response I've ever had was from a friend who looked me squarely in the eyes and just said, "I'm so sorry," over and over. I said thanks the first time, got choked up the second time, and was crying by the third time. Then she just held me, and we cried together, which is much better than crying alone. I am a mom. I'm Mikey's mom. Even though he's not here, I'm still a mom. So please, don't forget that, and don't forget him.
Good evening. I am Lynette Danley Land, and I dedicate this piece to my partner Roderick and our son Julie. For the Bible says, and it must be true, Papa may have, Mama may have, but God bless the child who has his own, who has his own. Monday, March 12th. I'm thinking about Chicago. Dear Diary, as a black girl from the west side of Chicago, and I'm not talking about west of Chicago like Aurora, or north of Chicago like Evanston, or south of Chicago like Markham, or certainly not northwest Chicago like Schaumburg or Hoffman Estates, and just forget about going further east because then you're just in the lake. I'm talking about straight up inner city Chicago, where there's always a rib tip, hot link, or pork chop sandwich joint open, a peppermint stick inside of a dill pickle because you just had to have it like that, Chicago. I'm smelling a Friday night fish fry after worshiping 12 hours of church service, Chicago. An old lady manning a penny candy and frozen Kool-Aid stand, Chicago, while feeling the heat of 110 degrees and the humidity ain't even hit the street at the Taste of Chicago type Chicago. Where little black girls is praying for dear life as the skin peeling hot off the stove pressing comb approaches your ear, so you best not move, Chicago, because you can't move, Chicago, because there's no beauty without pain, Chicago. And the mamas, aunties, grandmamas, or whoever happens to be doing your hair that night, Chicago, has you so tight between their thighs from which nations, legacies, of course, and juicy reputations are born. Chicago. Have you looking so fresh for church, school, or just sitting on the front porch so you can catch a cool rap for show, Chicago? It was that Chicago that I'm talking about, where I first learned the bittersweet reality that for a black woman, life wasn't going to be no crystal stair, if there were going to be stairs at all. Where there's a thin line between love and hate, and the best advice were often rhetorical questions that your life depended on, such as, pick a good switch now so I don't have to get one for you. Don't you make me. Are you staring back at me, girl? And the cinematic classic, do as I say and not as I do, and don't you give me no lip. I'll knock you into next week, Chicago. Yeah, that's the Chicago I'm talking about. You just don't appreciate that until it's gone. From the time I understood what family was, I knew I wanted to be a wife and a mother. A strong black woman of a wife and mother, but I wasn't too sure on the strong black wife part, because in my estimation, many of them wasn't too happy. What I saw was women who stayed with cheating, wife-beating men, marrying 3 and 4 times because it just wasn't right black mothers, or those who swore off men because they just couldn't hit it quite right black mothers, and then those who hit it every night just to feel right because they had to fight in the world each day black mothers. Those black mothers who would cook up strength and heritage in their black magic skillets and serve it up real nice and hot with a spoonful of just keep your head down and mouth closed black mothers, so you don't get in much trouble for being too smart black mothers, because they had it like that from surviving down south where the trees bore strange fruit black mothers. It was from them that I learned being a mad black mama wasn't so bad, but we'll get to that in a minute. But wait, I can't go forward unless I go back and start by saying that I never wanted to be my mother. As long as I can remember, she went real Edith Bunker, like, Archie, here's your beer, while at home. But when she went to work, she went to Julia Malvo, managing millions of dollars at Sears and Roebuck in a split second, spinning my head so fast that I never had time to gather myself, my worth, my respect, my love, my identity as a strong black woman. So it was there that I lived for almost 17 years in a constant, inconsistent state between insanity and logic, not fully grasping the difference between reality and perceptions or how to balance the intersecting identities that's been socially constructed for me. I am so mad that if I ain't cooking at 4 a.m., washing clothes, cutting out arts and crafts for our son's class, grading papers, working on the manuscript, strategizing on how to save another black woman from leaving the state of Utah campaign, or worrying about how to say what I gotta say but don't want to offend anyone for the 1,000th time, so I gotta go real gone with the wind like, oh, Miss Scarlett, I'm sorry, I don't know nothing about birthing no babies, teaching no students, writing no papers, and serving on no committees. I come all this way just to give you something pretty to look at and give you my ideas as long as they don't conflict with yours. All of a sudden, I don't feel so good. I don't feel like a strong black woman or mama now. I feel tired and confused, and that somehow this picture just gotta be wrong. Why do I gotta be so strong to be a strong black mama? Oh yeah, my son. From the time I knew I could conceive, I wanted a boy. A strong black boy who would grow up to be a strong black man and make contributions to society like so many great black men do. It wasn't until my uncle was murdered at 27 and my brother at 26, and the ways in which I saw many police officers, teachers, and special education counselors salivating at the thought of imprisoning black men and boys, that once I knew I had a boy in my womb, I wanted to keep him there forever. Because I knew once he was born, I would worry about his life every day until there was no longer breath in his body or mine. I am reminded on a constant basis of the choice that Seth had to make in Morrison's Beloved, where she chose a physical death for her children over slavery. Now, I'm not courageous enough to go out like that, and I don't really want to be held up in no prison. But I worry about my son in terms of spiritual deaths, figurative lynchings, and the slavery of surveillance by cops and principals and advisors who only give compliments on his jump shots, and the girls who concern themselves with how low he hangs, rather than how tight he is with his love for God, his mad math, and his chess skills, and how compassionate his heart is. It's conversations like, oh yes, Miss Pure White Bread, I know he is extremely active. Yes. Well, I know you know how smart he, yes. He He does have a nice jump shot. Oh, he does have academic potential. Like I didn't be in labor for 19 months with this boy. I know you want him to succeed and that you have every confidence in his So you say you warned him and he still isn't acting white enough? Oh, I'm sorry. You said right enough? Sure. We'll discuss this again at the upcoming parent-teacher conference. I sit down and I think of my mother. I'm everything that I hated and loved about her. Mad, multitasking, always worrying, and down on my knees in prayer for my family and for my son. Now I understand her better by and by, and I love and adore her even more. Now, diary, I need to clarify being a mad black mama for myself. Not for you because you know me, but all the parts of me that needs reassuring. See, there's a blessing in being mad. That's right, there's a blessing in the reality of being mad. I now understand that my pain is another black woman's gain. That's my test. My tests are my testimonies, allowing me to be a strong black mama for the black girls I work with in the community. I can look them straight in the eyes, telling them how great and smart and beautiful they are, knowing that when they return to class, they don't think I done lied to them. Still have to believe that my circumstances, their circumstances, are for a greater purpose than our understanding. That God allows, and yes, I says allow, because nothing sneaks up on God. Rape, kidnapping, molestation, drug, alcohol addiction, racism, sexism, and heartache. He, she, because we all are made in his image, knows that one day you have got to address that very same issue with somebody that you survived. And they've got to know that you've been through that shit too, so that they can believe that they have a chance. The alternative is to believe that your pain was in vain, and that ain't no option for me. So I help those beautiful black butterflies believe that they too, even when their wings are clipped, can fly. So yes, I'm a mad black mama who understands the blessings of reality. Mad, I tell you, because I know people don't want me here, but I'm going to show up anyway. Mad, even though there's only a small number of black people here, we don't work together as closely as we should or could. Mad that despite all the HIV and AIDS education, black women are still dying just because we're dying to be loved. Mad that there are no schools in the state where my son will see a mass of people who look like him in the classroom, principal's office, or cafeteria, and of the few he does see, maybe only one will acknowledge him as a black boy and speak back. Mad that instead of recognizing my partner for his intellect, I gotta swallow women and men lusting after his body, touching his glorious locks without my permission, not seeing him for the king that he is because all they know of him is Kuta Kente, Mandingo, BET, Yo MTV Raps, and Cops. This pisses me off because the closest he's ever come to being a bad boy is being my husband, and the time we were, well, that ain't none of your damn business. So, still, the meaning of being mad for me is what sustains me. M is for mercy, that I have for myself and others because in many ways we are all victims of humanity. A is for amazing grace that God has shown me each and every day of my life. And D is for devotion, dedication, and drive that catapults me from this space and place anytime I need to so that I can get up and do this thing called life all over again each and every day. Whether it is my struggle as a black woman to constantly humanize my voice, protect my son because his very existence depends on it, love my man just right, do my thing at the office, hold it down in the community, it is only I, as only black women can, say when and where I enter. It is up to us alone to know that we are never forsaken and that our backs have been had since the time of Tubman, Sojourner, Cooper, Hedgeman, Loud, Bates, Heights, Wells, Hamer, Baker, Shabazz, Davis, Park, Scott, King, Hale, Walker, Danley, Smiths, Richards, Gray, George, Minor, Daces, Aljos, Yusefs, Balls, Lands, and countless others. You see, man, this ain't so bad. Yes, the Bible said, and I know it's true, Papa may have, Mama may have, but God's blessed this child to have her own, to have her own.
My name is Susan Holbrook. I'm a single woman who has adopted two children through foster care, and I wanted to show you what that feels like. I dedicate this poem to my adopted son Jacob, who is now 8 years old, who takes such loving, good care of his adopted brother Tyson, who is now 2. for whom this poem was written. The silly songs. The silly songs we sing together as I look at you and love you in the rearview mirror, as I lean over your crib and paint your face with my fingers, as I lay you on my belly and brush my lips across your cheeks. The silly songs we sing are the moments of joy we share apart from the world. Jibbity jib jib, mousey powder. All the songs we share apart. Little boy Louie and chick chick kiss kiss. Apart from the world. All the silly songs we sing apart from the world as we live a world apart. Just me and you, singing our silly songs.
I will be reading Ruth Chacon's monologue, My Mother's Hands Smell Like Masa. Okay. I was young, 9 maybe. They were small, not mine, hers. Her fingertips were bitten fiercely to the bone. Mostly, I remember the smell. I put her hands between my own and brought them close to my face. The smell of fresh masa and Clorox. They smell clean. When she ran low, I would get her flour. In the back, next to the washer and dryer, rested a large garbage tin can with blue plastic lining. With a blue plastic bag lining. I would remove the lid and pour out a scoop of flour. She would gather the flour and rub it between her hands, clearing the masa from her palms and fingers, and took the flour from me. Peeling like glue. I love that sound. Peeling like glue, the sound. I love that sound, the sound of hands rubbing. Sounds of her, small, stubby fingers rubbing. Today, I went with her to see if the lump on her breast was cancerous. Nervously, we sat waiting for the doctor. I grabbed her hand, picked up her hand. She had a ring on. She lost so many rings. She would take them off and put them on the countertop. She was proud of her mother's ring. The ring was circled with stones, arbor stones. It fell down the drain, the kitchen sink drain. Her fingertips, her fingernails, she didn't have any. Her stubby fingers. It was more blue, more veins. More veins. Her fingers had dry cuts. She had calluses, scars, no more softness. The doctor came in, interrupted. Good news. My mother signed the cross with her shaky, stubby fingers. I held her hands a moment longer. Do you want to come over for dinner, Rita? She says.